Hey everybody out there, and today for you guys we're going to be doing a deck update of a deck that I've had a lot of fun reconstructing over the last month and a half. I started rebuilding it back in the end of last year after I did my Summon Skull deck profile, and that is my Archfiend deck. So like I said, Summon Skull got me inspired to go back and revisit this deck. I did this deck profile about 2 times before on the channel some years ago, and I thought it was about high time with the start of the new year to go back and redo this deck profile. It's a very fun deck to play. The cool thing about Archfiends is they have a lot of different support out there. You have the Summon Skull support, you have, in addition to that, you also have as well the old chess piece Archfiends, which we don't really run in this version of the deck, and then you have the newer age, quote-unquote, Archfiends that came out during the Zexal era, which are pretty nice because I think those are the best ones and the more well-known ones because they were used initially back to Top Worlds a couple years ago and Top North America WCQ with Infernity Archfiend. So things like Paralabyrinth and Empress, people pretty much know because of that happening a couple years ago. But the deck's very fun. It's got a wide array of powerful cards, actually, I feel like, and I feel like it's just always missing that one thing, and people forget it's actually an archetype. A lot of cards have become Archfiends due to erratas and translation errors early on in Yu-Gi-Oh! That have been fixed. So that's where like Summon Skull you can actually use now currently with Archfiends, because it's actually Archfiend Summon Skull, not just Summon Skull. But sorry for all the rambling, let us get into today's deck profile. So first off, we run 3 Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I can never roll my R's properly when I say this card. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror. Horror. I think I said that right that time. Whatever. He pretty much allows you to pop monsters. You can normal summon him, but he'll lose a lot of his attack. Overall, he's pretty good. He's a little bit power creep nowadays, but definitely an essential 3 of in this deck. Like, he's still pretty good. Next, we run 1 Archfiend Empress. If you are ever trying to construct this deck, I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to be the hardest card to find for your deck because it came out of Star Strike Blast as a super rare, and it took me a couple years to find this back in the day, and I found it in an old trade binder and I traded it for like $1 or $2 for somebody. But literally, I have not seen this card since that time frame in anyone's binder or bulk or anything. So very hard card to find, but it pretty much allows you to reborn cards if it's destroyed. In addition to that, it gives you your Archfiend some protection as well. So it's pretty good. I like it as a 1-of in the deck. I don't feel like you need more of it. But it's very useful in the deck overall. So 1 Archfiend Empress and 3 Archfiend First Archfiend Emperor, First Lord of Horror. I think I said it right. You guys can let me know down in the comment section. Alright, continuing on. We got our 3 Archfiend Commander. I think this is the best, one of the best cards in the deck, actually. In the main deck, that is, because the ability of using it and the ways you can abuse it. So pretty much he can be special summoned, so he's kind of like a cyber dragon, but you have to tribute a fiend monster. But by doing so, you get to reborn a card from your graveyard, an Archfiend card, more specifically I believe it is. Yeah, 1 level 6 Archfiend monster in your graveyard, which allows you to bring back your bigger Archfiends, Empress and Horror. Makes sense now? So he's very useful for that aspect. The cool thing, and the way I say you can abuse his effect, is you want your Archfiends to get destroyed. So things like Archfiend Cavalry, if he gets destroyed, he gets to reborn other cards, Archfiend monsters. If you destroy Eris, you get a search off. And there's also other ways that you can really abuse its effect to destroy monsters, because say you went Battle Fader, you can just tribute off a freaking Battle Fader to just get his effect off. You see what I'm trying to go with this. His effect's not a negative. It's actually a positive to help the deck function. So definitely 3 Archfiend Commander in the deck. Hands down. Next we run 3 Archfiend Cavalry. This guy is pretty beefy. Like if you get Paralabyrinth on the field, he can actually do some pretty damage. That's the cool thing, because Paralabyrinth gives them a 500 attack bonus. So if you have Paralabyrinth on the field, which is the field spell for the deck, you have to imagine all these monsters are getting 500 attack boost. So they get pretty big. So next up, Archfiend Cavalry. Like I said, he reborns cards. He's pretty decent. I can't remember if he was played in the Infernity deck back at Worlds back in the day. But yeah, definitely an essential 3-up in this version of the deck, hands down. Next, we run 3 Heiress of the Archfiend. Archfiend Heiress. This girl, I guess you could call it, was definitely used back at that for the Infernity deck. And if you guys didn't check out already my Summon Skull Archfiend deck that I did at the beginning of the new year, you can definitely go check that out, and you'll see another version of the Archfiend deck out there. But Archfiend Heiress is very useful because it's a searcher for the deck. It also works along with Tour Guide in the deck as well. So Tour Guide is very essential to some of the plays this deck can do because it's a Fiend monster. It can also allow you to go into the Archfiend Link monster, in addition to going into Link monsters in general, as well as going into generic level 3 Exceed plays. You see where this is all going, right? So that's why Tour Guide coming back to 2 of is very nice for the deck. If Tour Guide goes to multiples, you can take something else out of the deck and maybe add another Tour Guide. However, it is, from playtesting recently, susceptible to hand traps a lot more, like Effect Veiler and some other cards out there. Just like it was when it originally was at multiples. But yeah, 3 Heiress. Next, like I was saying, 2 Tour Guide. Definitely essential in the deck. Run it, helps you go for link plays, level 3 Exceed plays. Very useful. Next we run 1 Terra King Archfiend. This guy is kind of neat because he can negate stuff and destroy monsters. He's the only old school Archfiend that I run in the deck because he's just nice to have, quote unquote. He can become a little bit of a beater, which is nice. He's not essential in the deck, and that's why we just run him as a 1-of, as another Archfiend target, quote unquote, to some degree. But he's still useful in the deck, and I do like him. He does involve rolling dice, which is kind of fun. That was the gimmick for a lot of the old school Archfiends, if I remember correctly. But I still like him as a 1-of in the deck. Next we run 3 Battle Fader. And Battle Fader is very useful because it's your hand trap of the deck. So sometimes you may find yourself, okay, I'm going to take a lot of damage, use Battle Fader. And then you maybe have Archfiend Commander, which I was talking about earlier, in your hand as well, or just may have it. And what you can do is you can go Archfiend Commander, Special Summon, destroy the Battle Fader. It did its job. It's on the field now. Destroy it, and then reborn maybe, I don't know, Archfiend First Lord of Horror from your graveyard back, right? So there's different things you can do in the deck with Battle Fader and Archfiend Commander, and I definitely like it in the deck overall. So 3 Battle Fader in the deck, hands down, has been amazing to run in the deck, but definitely a staple in the deck as a hand trap. On to the spell cards. We run 3 Archfiend Paralabyrinth. This card gives you attack bonus and does a lot of different other things. This card is probably one of the best known next to Heiress of the Archfiend archetypes, next to Summon Skull, which is OGs, Archfiends, but I'm not going to go into it. Gives attack bonus, does a bunch of other cool things. Definitely you want to get to this card as soon as possible, which is the reason we also run the 1 Terraforming in the deck. You want to get to it. You can easily search it out through Heiress, but I like trying to use this Heiress effect to search out monsters instead of searching out for the field spell, if I'm able to. So next we run 3 Falling Down. I wish this were searchable. This card is pretty dang good. This card is like Snatch and Steal. It really is. I'm going to read it to you if you guys don't know what this card does. Activate this card by targeting one opponent's monster. Yes, it targets, but okay. Equip this card to it. Take control of it. Destroy this card unless you control an Archfiend card. This includes the Archfiend field spell. So you don't need to have a monster. You just have the field spell out, you can use Falling Down. Just letting you know that. Because it just says Archfiend card. During each of your opponent's standby phases, you take 800 damage. Whoop-de-doo. I get to steal your opponent's monsters. It's literally Snatch and Steal if you have Paralabyrinth out on the field. Like, it's an awesome card. Definitely, I high rarity these the super because it's such a great card. It wins me duels. Next 3, Allure of Darkness. It's a dark deck. Everything is dark. Run Allure of Darkness. If you get a brick hand, just draw more cards. It's amazing. 2 trade-in, because sometimes your bigger monsters, mainly your Horror and your Empress, will sometimes get a little bit cloggy in this aspect, and you definitely want to run trade-in just in case. Some people don't like the trade-in, they like running other cards. Maybe you want to run Call by the Grave, maybe you want to run Ash Blossom instead. You could take that out if you want to take this to more of a competitive level, but I find that even still when I was doing that, I would get brick hands, and I was really hoping for a trade-in. So definitely being honest with that, run trade-in. 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn. It's essential in the deck. Foolish Burial to trigger off monster effects, get their effects off in graveyard, and Monster Reborn, you can reborn things. It's pretty easy. Archfiend Call, Call of the Archfiend is really nice in the deck. This is kind of like their own pseudo Call of the Haunted, but a little bit better. I'll read it to you if you guys don't know what it does. You can target 1 level 5 or higher Fiend monster in your graveyard, discard 1 Fiend monster, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster. You can only use 1 Call of the Archfiend once per turn. Yeah, it's their pseudo Call of the Haunted. It's really nice. In addition to that, because you're destroying your monsters a lot of the time, guys, I also want to run OG Call of the Haunted as well, because it allows you to reborn things. You're destroying monsters left and right through different means. You're doing different things. You want to reborn it, the monsters you send to graveyard, so that's where we run all these reborn cards. And lastly, I run 2 Eradicator Epidemic because, like I said, with Paralabyrinth on the field, a lot of your guys become very big bodies, so to speak. And for that reason, what you can do is you can use Eradicator to take out spell-based decks and trap-based decks. And depending upon the situation, maybe you want to run other virus cards in the side deck if you wanted to do that. But I definitely like the 2 Eradicator in the main deck. I find 3 to be a little bit too much because depending upon your matchup, but it's definitely nice to have in the main deck because every deck pretty much for the most part runs spell cards. And with the new meta developing, we may have an instance where we have more heavy trap-based decks, so run Eradicator, right? I think no matter what, it's always essential in the deck as a 2-of because with the ease it can go for it. It's the same thing that works with like, oh gosh, like Dark Worlds back in the day and the ease that you could get a Grapha on the field and just use a virus card. That's the way I like running it as well. So, Field Center, I love her. 2 Archfiend, Master King Archfiend, which is their generic Link monster they got about a year ago, which is essential 2-of in the deck. We also run 1 Cherubini of the Burning Abyss. You can run this guy. Run it. Just saying. Wee Witch's Apprentice as well. We also that's all for your basic Link monsters, but we run some other Links as well. So we also run Armorage because if you get negated, you can use Armorage. Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn, and Bull's Sword, which sometimes you go for. So let's get into our Exceed monsters. We run Exciton Knight and Tornado Dragon. You don't go for level 4s that often, but you sometimes do. And I'm just running things to destroy back row and destroy the board if need be. For your level 3s, we run Dante, Leveneer. I feel like with the updated Master Rules coming out, this card's going to become a little bit better. And with how this deck banishes cards, it's pretty nice to have. Currently, under the current Master Rule 4 rules, maybe not so much, but I think in a month or two, I would be running this in the extra deck. We also run 1, the Phantom Knight of Break Sword. And lastly, I'm going to talk about this card for a second. 1 number 49, Fortune Tune. Okay, I asked a judge friend this, and you can look this ruling up because of the way this card works. But this card triggers Eris. Number 49, Fortune Tune, triggers Eris. If you don't believe me, you can go look it up. You can even go back to my older deck profile I did like 2 years ago to see what people were saying. And I'm being honest because I talked to a judge friend again about this to make sure. Fortune Tune triggers Eris. And Fortune Tune, while I do not run it in any other decks except this deck for the most part, it works with Eris to trigger Eris because of how it works and how it's been ruled. Thus, unless something's changed, I like it in the deck. And it helps just give you protection as well from being destroyed and things getting blown up in your face. So you can look that up if you don't believe me, but that's up to you. So Fortune Tune. I like it. You don't have to run it, but it works in the deck to trigger off cards. and it's nice to have because some instances I have gone for it depending upon how badly I'm getting my face punched in, and it can give me a little bit of time to get a board set up. So that is the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed this deck. Like I said, I love this deck to pieces. It's a really fun deck to play. It's very underrated, I feel like. I don't think it's meta, but I think it's very underrated, and not enough people think of this deck as a good deck. And it has the versatility to really adapt. I don't think it's going to top anytime soon, but I think it's a really cool rogue strategy if you want to go take it in and play with it. And hopefully it gets more support in the future. It seems to always get support. But if you like the video, guys, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos, and until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling to all of you, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Take care, buddy, and take care, guys, and good luck dueling to all of you.